We begin here in the Gemara on Daf Nun Gimel Amud Beis. We're holding in the Gemara where it says Zacharim Yaitzin Levuvin. The male rams can go out Levuvin. What does the word Levuvin mean? So the Gemara explains My Levuvin Omer Avhunem Tutri. Levuvin means they go out tied in pairs. So the Mishnah is telling you they're allowed to go out in pairs. My Mashmadai Levuvin Lishne de Kruvihu. Where do you see, what's the etymology of the word levuvin, that it means that they're close together in pairs? The pasuk says in Shir Hashirim, Livaftani achaisi kala, that you have captured my heart, my sister, my bride. So we see that Livaftani, and in this case levuvin, means closeness. Ula says a different pshat. This is an hide of an animal, shekaishim lehem keneged libam, that is tied by the place of their heart, so that the wolves that attack them, and they usually come and attack them in their underbelly, shouldn't have the ability to come and attack them. So this is this levuvin that the Zacharim have not to be attacked. This is only something which the male rams have placed on them, so they shouldn't be attacked by the wolves and not the females. What's the difference? And for the Gemara, there's a difference. Because the males go at the head of the flock, and therefore they're the ones that are attacked. And the wolves, they only attack those that are going at the head of the flock and not the ones that are in the back. If they're coming from the back, they attack those that are in the back. So the Gemara answers the difference is Elamishum de Shamni, because the males are fatter, and that's the one they attack. Amongst the females, there are none that are fat. Visu mi yadi ben hani lahani. Do the wolves know the difference between the males and the females? They're coming from the back and they see that there are females. They know that in the front there are males, and they're not going to attack the females and only attack the males in the front. How does this make sense? Ella, so therefore the Gemara says there's another reason that instigates the wolves to attack specifically the male rams. Ella mishum the zakfi chutmayu umaski kidovu, because the male rams, when they walk, they're walking with their noses up and they're looking around from side to side, and therefore this sort of gets the wolves afraid that they're looking around, maybe coming to attack them, or that they're therefore they come to attack dafka the male rams that walk in this way. Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak says that the pshat of levuvin is different. This is a piece of leather or a hide of an animal that they tie by their zachrus, by their genitals, in order that they should not cohabit with the nekevis. If they don't want the nekevis to become pregnant, so they have to tie this thing there. That's the taich of levuvin. Mimai, how do I see that this is the meaning of levuvin? Because in the next part of the Mishnah, what does it say? And the ewes, the female rams, go out shchuzais. What is the meaning of shchuzais? My shchuzais, that they tie up the tail in order that the females and the males should cohabit. So therefore it makes sense to say that the two parts of the Mishnah are discussing a similar thing when you get to the cohabiting and not wanting that the Zacharim and the Nekevis should cohabit. In the Reisha, it's talking about covering that it should not cohabit with the Nekevis. The Seifa is talking about that he exposes the females so that the Zacharim should come and cohabit with the females. That's the connection of the two parts of the Mishnah. My mashma the high shchuzais. So what's the source of this word shchuzais? That shchuzais means lishna de gluya, to expose the females. The pasuk says v'hinei ishtoi Likrosai, his wife came towards him, Shis Zaina, which means exposed like a Zaina, on a Tzura slave with a promiscuous heart. So Rashi here says, Shis Zaina is what the word Shchuzais comes from. Shchuzais is put together from these two words, Shis Zaina, and therefore over here the Cheles Shchuzais means the female rams that are exposed. Weiter, it said in the Mishnah, Harechelim Yotzais Kavulais, that the ewes may go out kvulais, tied. What exactly does this mean? And for the Gemara, my kvulais, shemachablen al yeshalahen lemata, that they tie down the tail, that they should not become pregnant, that they should not cohabit. So this is like we see over here, a person that owns these animals, sometimes he wants them to become pregnant, sometimes he doesn't, and this is the different methods. My mashma dahai kovel lishna dol yavet peri. Where do you see that the word kovel means tying it, that it should not become pregnant and it should not produce any fruits, should not have any children? Where is it in the etymology of the word kovel? The pasuk says, and this is talking about Shlomo Melech that granted cities to Hiram, that helped him, provided him materials to build a Beis HaMikdash, so he gave him cities. And Hiram says to Shlomo Melech, what are these cities that you gave me? Vayikra, and he called them Eretz Kovel, their land Kovel that provides no fruits, Adayei Mazeh, until today. My Eretz Kovel, what was he telling him when he said that this is a land which is Kovel? Omar Rav Huna, so Rav Huna said, Shahayoba b'nei Adam shemechubalin b'kesav u'bezav. It was a city that had people that were wrapped up with silver and gold. And this is something that Hiram did not like. He had a taina that Shlomo Melech gave him these cities. Amalei Rave, so Rave says, I hachi. If that's the case, that these cities have people in it that have gold and silver, so it says that he wasn't happy with these cities that Shlomo Melech gave him. Why not? It has gold and silver in it. The cities that had people that were wrapped up in gold and silver, he wasn't happy with. So Rava answered, Rav Huna that is answered in, yes, this is the pshat, kivin da siriu mefanki, because these people are rich and they are very spoiled. They're not working, they're not ready to work for the king, so therefore he's not happy with the cities and the people in the cities here. Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak says, so that going back to the pshat of the cities that he called Kovel, Eretz Kovel Adayei Mazeh, so the first pshat over here is that these people did not produce. They were rich and spoiled and they did not produce at all. Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak says it's talking about the actual land. Eretz Chumtein Haisa. It was an Eretz Chumtein, which Rashi says was a salty land, and the earth is not fit for planting in it. Nothing grows there. Amai Karile Kovel. What is the meaning of the word Kovel? The Mistarga, or the Mishtarga Bekara ad Kavla, because a person's foot sinks in it until his knees. The mistarge bekara ad kavla, that the person sinks in it until his knees. Va'amri inchi, and people says ara mekavla deloi of the peri. This is an ankle deep land that does not produce any fruits. So this is the pshat that we see that the word kovel, and in our Mishnah when it said kavulais, refers to something when it does not produce any fruits. Next thing in the Mishnah it said was kvunais, that the ewes can go out kvunais. Kvunais means fastened. What does kvunais mean? My kvunais shemachabnin oisai lemilois. What they did is that when these sheep were born, they immediately covered the sheep in order to keep the wool to be beautiful, white and clean, lemilas, for expensive wool that was made for garments. Kedetnan, as we learned in the Mishnah, se'eis Ketzemer, the color of se'es, of one of the colors of the Negoyim, is as white, Ketzemer Lovan, like the white wool. My Tzemer Lovan, what kind of white wool are we talking about? Rav Bivi bar Abaye, Ketzemer Noki ben Yoimai, like the clean white wool of a sheep that was just born, Shemechabne Noisai, that you fasten, you tie a covering on it, Lemilas, in order that it could be used, the white wool could be used for expensive, exquisite wools. We learned in the Mishnah that the goats can go out when they tie their udders. Itmer Rav Amalacha Rabbi Yehuda. Rav says we paskin like Rabbi Yehuda that it's allowed. Or Shmuel Amalacha Rabbi Yosi. Shmuel says the halacha is like Rabbi Yosi that says that it's all forbidden. Some said this as a separate statement. Rav said, Livash mutter. If you're tying the udders for the purpose to dry up the udders, then it's allowed. But not for the purpose to catch the milk. We had this already yesterday, and Rashi explained when you're drying it up, it's tied tightly. When it's tied there just to catch the milk, it's tied loosely, so therefore it could fall off. And this is the opinion of Rav Yehuda. Shmuel says, either way, however it's tied up, also it's forbidden to go out this way. And others learned it as follows. The goats can go out tied up if it's to dry it up, but not to tie the udders for the milk. In the name of Rav Yehuda ben Beseira it was said, Kach halacha. This is really the halacha like Rabbi Yehuda. Aval, however, here's the issue. Mi mafis ezelifash ve'ezelachalav. It's very difficult to determine when it's tied tight enough that it's considered to be for drying, and when it's tied that it's only for milk. People can't see the difference, so people will come to confuse them. If you see an animal going out with its udders tied, you're going to think that you can tie it even if it's to dry it up, and you're going to go out with it even then. Or the other way around, if it's tied to dry up when it's allowed, you're going to come to think that you can go it out even when it's tied to catch the milk. So since it's very difficult to recognize how the udders are tied, so Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira said, we were geyser that either way the goat should not go up with its udders tied. We paskin like Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira that we make this gzeira and a goat should never go out with its udders tied. Ki aser Ravin, Rav Yechanan, that is, when Ravin came, he said in the name of Rav Yechanan, halacha ketanakama. He actually was much more lenient, paskening like the Tanakama, which said that a goat could always go out with its udders tied, regardless of how and for what purpose it's tied. In what cases can an animal not go out? A camel should not go out with mittul teles. What does mittul teles mean? So there are various pshatim here in Rashi. The final pshat Rashi says is, we learned yesterday that there are straps at the back of the animal that go by its tail that are there to hold the packages in position. So when the animal goes downhill, the packages shouldn't fall forward. Problem is, those straps put a very big strain on the skin of the animal, and it could really hurt it. So therefore they had these little cushions that they would put under the straps in order that the skin of the animal shouldn't get rubbed by the straps. So those are these mittul teles. So it should not go out with these mittul teles. They can easily fall, and then you might pick it up and carry it in Rosh Hashanah on Shabbos. Also, it shouldn't go out loy okod. It should not go out bound. As we'll see the Gemara, what exactly this means. The conclusion of the Gemara is you tie the forelegs and the hind legs together in order that it shouldn't run away too quickly. Or also v'loy rogel. It shouldn't go out rogel. Rogel means when they tie up one of the feet of the animal, so it should essentially be walking on 3 feet, so it hobbles around so it can't go too quickly. V'chein shar kol habehemis. This also applies to other animals, not only the camel. A person should not tie camels one to another and then pull them this way in the Rosh Hashanah. And the reason is, as we'll see in the Gemara, because it looks like he's taking them out to the marketplace to sell them. If he has a separate rope for each one of the animals, so then he can hold the ropes together and pull them this way in the Rosh Hashanah. He should not take these separate ropes and wrap them together around his hand, and as we'll see in the Gemara, the reason over here is in a case that it's shatnez, so this is not allowed. Zok the Gemara Tana. We learned in a Braise explaining the pshat in the first case of the Mishnah that the camel should not go out mittul teles. So the Braise says, Lo yetze hagamal b'mittul teles hakshuru lo biznavai. It should not go out with this cushion, as I explained before. Rashi says the cushion that they put under the strap, if that's there tied, if the strap is tied by under its tail, to its tail. Aval yaitzehu b'mittul teles hakshura biznavai ubechaitrasei. But it may go out with the mittul teles that's tied both to the tail and also to the hump. When it's tied to the tail and to the hump, so then it's not going to fall off. There's no chash that it's going to fall off. The animal could go out, the camel can go out with this cushion that's tied over there to shilyasa, to a placenta that's coming out of the animal. And the reason is because the animal will not want to shake it off, because it hurts it, and therefore to shake it off is painful, and the animal will not shake off the metulteles that's tied to its placenta. Loi akud v'loi ragel. You should not go out with the camel when it's akud, which means when it's bound, or loy ragel, and not when the animal is forced to be hobbling around. What does this mean? Omer Rav Yehuda, akud, the pshat of akud means akidas yad v'regel, that he binds together the hand and the foot. Okay, so which means that he ties together the forelegs and the hind legs together, loosely enough that the animal could walk, but it can't run away, and that's the idea of akud. Ki Yitzchak ben Avram, the Gemara says, similar to the way Yitzchak was tied by the Akedas Yitzchak. Very interesting, the Gemara brings in this example. The Marsha over here actually says that he's not sure how the Gemara knows that is the way Akedas Yitzchak was. I mean, we know it says Vayakad Yitzchak benai, that he tied his son, but how do we know that he tied his hands to his feet? Marsha says he doesn't know where the Gemara took this from. And Marsha actually says that the Gemara is only bringing up Yitzchak ben Avram to compare and to show an example just for the fact that you tie up, but not necessarily this kind of tying of the hand to the foot. The Gemara is not bringing a raya to that. Okay, ragel, what does the pshat of ragel mean? That the animal is hobbling. That a person should not bend the lower part of the leg to the upper part of the leg, and then that forces the animal to hobble around. Yeah. The Gemara asks a stira from a Braise, Okod shtei yadayim v'shtei raglayim. It says in a Braise, what's the pshat of Okod? Not that he ties the forelegs to the hind legs. He ties the two forelegs together, and he ties the two hind legs together. Akedas yad v'regel. Shalayachov, and then ragel, continuing in this beraisa. Ragel, what is the meaning of ragel? Shalayachov yada gabiz raya v'yiksha. Like we said before, not to tie the lower part of the leg to the upper part of the leg together, that it should have to hobble around. So the point is that in this beraisa regarding akud, it says that it's not about tying the foreleg to the hind leg, but they would tie the two forelegs together and the two hind legs together. Answers the Gemara, Hudama ki haytana. The pshat that Rabbi Yehuda said follows a different brayse. The Tanya, akud, what's the meaning of akud? Akidas yad v'regel, tying the foreleg to the hind leg. Oi, and then the brayse, however, says, Oi, shtei yadayim v'shtei raglayim, or tying the two forelegs together, or the two hind legs together. Ragul, shelo yachav yadai agabiz roye v'yikshay, not to bend up the foot and tie it in that way that it should hobble around. So we see here in this brayse a source for the way Rabbi Yehuda interpreted the meaning of akud. Frek the Gemara, but vakati leidami. But it's still not exactly the way Rabbi Yehuda teached it. Why? Bishlei mereisha v'seif niche. The first part of the Mishnah, it says exactly like Rabbi Yehuda that he ties the foreleg to the hind leg. And in the end of the brayse, it says exactly like Rabbi Yehuda that he ties up the foot that it should hobble. But Mitzias Sakashia, the middle case of the Braise, it says that they would tie the two forelegs and then the two hind legs together. That's not like what Rabbi Yehuda said. Ella, so the Gemara brings another Braise, Hudama ki haytane, he says like the following Tana that said, Akud akedes yad v'regel. The meaning of akud is that he ties the hand, in other words the foreleg and the regel and the hind leg together, ki Yitzchak ben Avram, like it was with the case of Yitzchak ben Avram by akedes Yitzchak. Ragel, what's the pshat of ragel? Shelo yachav yadei al gabiz roye v'yikshay, not to tie up one of the forelegs that should have to hobble around on 3 feet. Going to the next case, V'lo yikshoir gemalim. It said in the Mishnah not to tie the camels one to another and walk like that with them in the Rosh Hashanah. My time. What's the reason? Omer Avashi mishum de mechzi keman de ozel lechinga, because it appears like the person is taking them out to sell in the marketplace on Shabbos. Sagt the Gemara weiter, Avol machnis. The Mishnah said that you can place the separate ropes that you have for each one of the camels into your hand and pull them together. Amar Avashi, and then what did it say after that in the Mishnah? that he shouldn't wrap around the ropes in his hand together. Can't wrap them together in his hands. Why not? This detail of the Mishnah is not an issue with Hilchas Shabbos. This is an issue of Klayim. This is an issue of Shatnez. So the Gemara examines this. Klayim demai. What kind of a Shatnez are we talking about? Ilem Klayim the Adam. Are we talking about that there's an issue of a person doing work, walking together with these animals? The halacha, there's a halacha of Klayim that you can't have a donkey and a cow plow a field together. That's the Klai Behema, that they can't do Klayim together. So are we going to apply the same thing also, that a person cannot do work, cannot walk together and do work together with these animals? That's what we're talking about over here. Just like two different animals can't do together. A human being with an animal is also Klayim. But Vatnan, we learned in a Mishnah, Adam mutter im kulam. A human being is allowed to plow the field, allowed to do a work together with any of the animals. Lachreish, v'limshoich, whether to plow or whether to pull something or load together. Right? So if a person's short an animal, and he wants to do the work together with an animal, he's allowed. So that's not the kind of Klayim that we're talking about. Ella, rather, Klayim de Chavolim. What we're talking about is the actual Klayim of the straps. If he's holding these straps and he's pulling the behemoths with them, and one is made out of linen, and the other is made out of flax, and wool that is, and he's holding them together and he's wrapping them together in his hand, and it warms his hand as well, so then that's Shatnez. Fragt the Gemara, is this an issue? But for Tanya, we learned in a Braise, if you have linen and wool, and he only connected them with one stitch, ein a chibur. It's not even considered to be that you connected it properly. It's not, Shatnez means it has to be connected properly as one garment. So it's not connected over here, and therefore there's no issue of Kalayim, holding the separate straps in his hands, even if it's together. And for the Gemara, we are talking about the shatnez of these ropes that he's holding in his hand. And this is the pshat over here. The person should not wrap these ropes in his hand and tie them together. If he ties them together, then it's going to be an issue of shatnez. Okay, so it's not just he's wrapping it together and tying it together. That's an issue of shatnez. Now Shmuel returning to the halacha of going out with them into the Rishus Harabim, using these leashes, pulling them into the Rishus Harabim. So this is B'chlal, any time you use a leash to pull an animal into the Rishus Harabim. So Shmuel says, Ulvad shelo yetze chevel mitachas yadai. If you wrap the leash around your fist, and then there's the end of the leash that sticks out, that leash should not stick out from your hand, tefach. Should not stick out a tefach. But we learned in the yeshiva of Shmuel tfachayim that it could stick out a tefach, it should not stick out two tfachim. Shmuel himself said a tefach, it shouldn't stick out a tefach. And in the yeshiva of Shmuel said that it shouldn't stick out two tfachim. And the point of here is, if it's sticking out a tefach or it's sticking out two tfachim, this is extra piece of the leash that is unnecessary, and you're carrying something unnecessary in the Rishus Harabim on Shabbos. Right? That's the point there. So Shmuel said it's extra when it's sticking out a tefach. In the yeshiva of Shmuel they said when it's two tfachim. So what's the pshat here? Shmuel halacha l'maisa asal ashminan. Shmuel is coming to tell us the halacha l'maisa what to do, meaning that really the isser is when it's sticking out two tfachim. That's when it's too much extra that it's carrying in a Rishus Harabim. However, Shmuel would tell people a tefach in order to make a siyag not to come and carry two tfachim. So that's the way Shmuel used to say it. But really the isser is only by two tfachim. Tanya, fragt the Gemara, but we learned in another braise, ubulvad sheyagbia min hakarka tefach, that you can pull the leashes of the animals as long as it's above the ground. So at this point the Gemara understands what we're talking about over here, that remainder, that leftover of the leash that comes out of the fist of your hand, as long as whatever's left over is above the ground, a tefach, which means it can come out a tefach, two tefachim, maybe even five tefachim, but as long as it doesn't reach within a tefach to the ground. So the Gemara answers, no, that's not the pshat on that braise. Ki Tanya Hahi. When that braise says that it should be off the ground at tefach, it means something totally different. B'chavla the beini. We're talking about the part of the leash that's between the animal and the person holding the leash. We don't want that part between the animal and the person to be on the ground, close to the ground. It should seem like that the animal is walking around just with a leash dangling from it, and it looks like it's carrying on Shabbos. So if you don't notice that somebody's holding it and leading it and pulling it with this leash, so if it's above the ground, the tefach, then it's obvious that there's someone ahead that's pulling it and holding it above the ground. If it's too low to the ground, then it's not allowed. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about that piece of leash between the animal and the person. Sagt the Mishnah, ein chamer yoytze b'mardas, a donkey may not go out with the saddle cloth, b'zman she'eina kshura loi, if it's not tied to it. And we learned about this before, towards the beginning of the Perek, that we're talking about that it wasn't tied to the donkey before Shabbos. In order for it to be considered, to be clear that it's for the purpose of a cloth to warm the chamer, it has to have been tied from before Shabbos. That's the pshat that Rashi says. Rashi quotes Rashi over here, actually this is, and the Rashi in the Gemara here. We'll see in a moment. The Gemara discusses this. And you're not allowed to go out, an animal is not allowed to go out with a bell, even if the bell is stopped by stuffing the bell that it shouldn't make any noise. It's not allowed to go out with the bell on Shabbos. Okay, the Gemara will explain this. The Mishnah says, not with a kind of brace that was similar to a small ladder that's there on its neck. The Gemara will explain what the purpose of this brace is. And not with having a bendel, with having a strap on its legs, which the Gemara will explain as well. The chickens also are not allowed to go out with cords. The Gemara will explain, and also not with straps on their legs. And the rams are not allowed to go out with these little wagons that they made under its tail, which the Gemara will explain. And the ewes are not allowed to go out chanunais. What chanunais means, the Gemara has various pshatim. And a calf cannot go out with a gimain, also explained in the Gemara. And a cow is not allowed to go out with some kind of a skin that's made from an animal that's very prickly, like a porcupine skin, and they placed it on the udders that nobody should come, they shouldn't be bothered that people, not people that is, but different animals or whatever it is are coming and suckling milk from its udders. And also not with a strap between its horns, which is made for a decorative purpose, and it's considered to be an extra burden. Weiter, the Mishnah says, and Parasai Shabalaza ben Azariah would walk out with the strap that's between its horns, and this was Shaloi beratzon Chachamim. This was against the will of the Chachamim that it walked out with this strap. Okay, continuing the Gemara, Zak the Gemara, my time, what's the reason for the donkey not being allowed to go out with the cloth, with the saddle cloth, if it was not placed on it before Shabbos? Kidamara, we learned this before in the beginning of the Perek, that the saddle cloth that's not placed on it before Shabbos, it's not there as a cloth. It's not obvious that it's there as a cloth, and therefore it's an extra burden. And not with a bell, even if it stopped. What's the reason? Because it seems like if he's going out with a bell, he wants to attract attention, it looks like he's going out to sell it in the marketplace. And it's not allowed to go out with this brace that's similar to a little ladder that's placed on its neck. What's the purpose of this brace? So the Gemara explains, it's a brace that's tied near the animal's cheek. And what's the function of this brace? If the animal has a wound, you don't want the animal to have the ability to turn its neck, to scratch it and hurt itself, so therefore this brace was placed there. So this is also something that could easily fall, and a person will pick it up and might carry it on Shabbos. And also not with a strap on its legs. What is this all about? And for the Gemara, the Avdile legizra. This is made that the animal should not injure itself. So if the animal is not, it's not walking properly, and it bangs, the feet bang into each other, so therefore they put this strap there on its feet that it shouldn't injure itself. Next case in the Mishnah was and that the chickens are not allowed to go out with cords on their feet. What is this all about? They made marks identifying that this one had a pink strap, this one had a purple strap. Everyone knew that people should not get confused whose chickens belong to who. Those are the straps for the chickens. Sorry, we're not talking yet about the chickens. Are we talking about the chickens? The strap of the chickens, is the simana, correct. Weiter, and then the Mishnah said that the chickens are not allowed to go out with a strap on their legs. What is this about? The money. They tie the feet of the chickens together so that it shouldn't go out and then break vessels that are lying around. Next case of the Mishnah was ve'einas charim yotzin ba'gala, and the rams are not allowed to go out with these little wagons that are there tied under their tail. What is this all about? This is made in order that the tail of the ram should not get bruised by the stones and the rocks, so therefore this was tied there as a protection for the tail of the ram. The next case of the Mishnah was that the ewes may not go out chanunais. What does the word chanunais mean? And he said as follows: Misha shegoizes in Isa, from the time when they shear the wool of the sheep, they immerse a compress into oil for it because it gets cold. So it's just all of a sudden like this coat of wool has been removed of it. So they put a compress of oil, and they place this compress on the forehead of the animal so that it shouldn't become cold. So when Rav Chisda heard this pshat, he responded and said, you're treating these animals like with such luxury, like you would treat a great person like Marukve. This is the kind of treatment that they give for animals. Does this make sense? Papa Bashmol was sitting in front of Rav Chisda, and he was sitting there and he said, the pshat over here is different. When the sheep are crouching to give birth, so they have two compresses of oil, and they place one on the forehead and one on the womb, so that to keep it warm. So for the comfort of the animal. Again, Rav Nachman, so Rav Nachman responded to Rav Papa Bashmuel in Kena Sisa Yalta. If so, you treated them with such luxury, like Yalta should be treated. As we had before, Yalta was Rav Nachman's wife, and she deserves such royal treatment, but the animals deserve such kind of a treatment. So therefore, Rav Huna said a third pshat. The pshat of the Chanunais is as follows. Very interesting here. There's a certain tree overseas, the Chanun Shemai, and the name of this tree is Chanun, certain kind of tree. Mevi'in Kisem, they would bring a chip of this tree. I'm not sure exactly why punked this tree, but this kind of a tree, and they would place a chip of this wood inside the nostrils of the sheep. What was the purpose of this? So that it will sneeze, and then any worms that crawled into the head, I guess through the ears, crawled into the head of the sheep, will then fall out. So this was, I guess, an issue they had, that there were worms that were inside the head of the sheep. So they would trigger it to sneeze, and then the worms would fall out. So this kissim, it may not walk out with this on Shabbos, because I guess it's something that can fall easily, and a person might pick it up and carry it on Shabbos. So the Gemara wants to understand, why is this specifically for the females, for the ewes? If so, if this is the pshat in Chanunais, Zecharim Nami, this should apply to the male rams as well. So the Gemara answers, no, the males are different. Kivin, the menakchis charim ba'adadi, because they butt heads one with another, memele noflan, the worms fall out on their own. That's the pshat of here. Shimon Nizira Amar, Shimon Nizira said another pshat, Kisma de risma, that they put chips of risma wood, some kind of a wood, again the same idea, into the nostrils of the sheep, that it should sneeze and the worms should fall out. So the Gemara now asks, according to Rav Huna, we understand what the meaning of the word chanunais is. Chanunais is the chips of this tree that was called chanun, that they placed into the nostrils of the sheep. But according to all the other opinions here, my chanunais, what's the etymology of the word chanunais? So the Gemara answers, we're doing something for these ewes to have mercy on them, to give them comfort. So the word chanunais means to be gracious, to feel the mercy for the sheep. That's the pshat of chanunais. Weiter, it said in the Mishnah, a calf cannot go out with a gimain. What's a my egel begimain? What does this mean? Rav Huna says, Rav Huna bar nira. This is a small yoke. The calf is young. It's not ready yet to work in the field and have a yoke that will bend its head. But this is a training. They have this small yoke that they place on the animal. That's the pshat of gimain. Where do you see that the word gimain means that the animal bends his head? That's what the yoke does. So he brings a pasuk. It says, "Halachayiv ka'agmain reishai." Is it to bend one's head like a fish hook? So you see that the word agmain means to bend your head. The next thing is out of the Mishnah, v'loi para ba'oir hakupar, and a cow is not allowed to go out with this kind of a skin that has a very prickly skin. What's the purpose of this? The avdilei keheichi the loylim tzuyu yale. They make this in order that leeches should not come and suck from her milk. So it's prickly, and therefore they don't come close. The next thing it's out of the Mishnah, v'loi b'ritzua shebein karneha, and also not with a strap that is between his horns. What's the pshat in this? So what's the reason why this is not allowed? Rav the Omar bein lenoi bein l'shamer aser. According to Rav, whether it's made for a decorative purpose or it's made to control the animal, either way it's forbidden. And he l'shmuel, and according to Shmuel, the Omar, Shmuel says lenoi aser, only for a decorative purpose it's forbidden, but l'shamer mutter. If it's made to guard the animal or to lead to restrain the animal, then it's allowed. The Mishnah concluded a story with the cow of Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. Parasai shel Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, the cow of Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah would go out even with the strap between the horns, and the Chachamim were not happy with this. So the Gemara asks, V'chada para havyale, did Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah only have one cow? That's what it sounds like. That one cow that he had went out with a strap between its horns. One cow he had. He was extremely, extremely wealthy. 12,000 cows or calves was his meiser. Me'edrei, from the flock of cows that he had, kol shata v'shata. Every single year, that was just a meiser. So times that by 10. So he had very wealthy and many cows. How are we saying here in the Mishnah that it was just one cow that went out? So the Gemara answers, Tana, the pshat over here we learned in a Braisa, Loisha Lehaisa. This wasn't even his cow, which explains how Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. The other question would be, how would Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah do something like this against the will of the Chachamim? So therefore the Gemara says it wasn't even his cow at all. What happened? It was this was a cow from his neighbor. Because he did not protest when he saw the cow of his neighbor going out with this strap, so therefore we call it his cow. It's something that he is responsible for, to protest if he's able. So now the Gemara is going to get into a whole long sugya, and we're going to have a long agadata here, which is going to last 2 blot about. And it begins with a discussion regarding this subject when a person has the ability to protest and he has the ability to rebuke somebody or teach somebody, so then it becomes your responsibility. Rav Chanine, Rav Yechanan, Rav Chanine Masna. These Tanoim together, the Amirayim actually, that is, they together taught. The Gemara interrupts for a second, benigay to this group of Amirayim, and just makes a comment. Bekula Seder de Mayid, anytime in the Seder Mayid of Shas, Kol ki hai zuge, anytime you have the group of these Amirayim mentioning Chalufa Rabbi Yechanan Uma'ayel Rabbi Yonasan. There are those that switched the name of Rabbi Yochanan. It wasn't Rabbi Yochanan that was present with them. Instead, it was Rabbi Yonasan that was present with them. And what did they say? Kol mi she'em shalim chayis la'anshe beisai. A person that sees people in his household doing things inappropriately, or that's not allowed, and he has the ability to protest, to teach them, to show them the right way. And he does not teach them, he does not protest. Nitvas al anshe beisai. He's going to be punished for the deeds of the people of his house. Ba'anshe iroi. If he's in a position that he has the ability to teach or protest the people that are doing things inappropriately in a city. Nitvas al anshe iroi. He will be punished for what's going on for the people in its city. So every position a person has is a big responsibility if he has the ability to teach and to explain and so on. If a person is so influential that his voice is being heard all over, people are listening to what he says all over the world, then he'll be punished on things that are happening amongst Yidden, that is, all over the world. As Rashi here says, B'chol Yisrael, Rashi says we're talking about a melech, a nasi, that people are listening to him. He has the obligation to go and speak out for things that are relevant for the entire world. Okay, we'll stop at the Gemara at this point. As I said, the Gemara is going to continue on this theme, the importance of a person speaking up and teaching and showing people the right thing to do in a case when they have the ability to do that. Okay, have a great day, everybody. Atzlacha Rabbe and everything you do. And we will see you, or actually hear me, maybe that is, again tomorrow. Have a great day.